Hello and welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to Midday News on Global Television, coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Mukhtar Kasim. A quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365 and Star Times 276. The federal government has expressed its determination to intensifying efforts to improve sanitation and end open defecation in the country as part of the nationwide Clean Nigeria campaign. Minister of Water Resources and Sanitation, Professor Joseph Yusuf, who led an advocacy visit to the office of the head of the Civil Service of the Federation in Abuja, called for commitment, collaboration and concrete action. Kabir Hassan has details of the report.
In a bid to achieve the open defecation-free Nigeria by 2025, the Clean Nigeria Use the Toilet campaign has continued to engage key institutions and stakeholders. The Minister of Water Resources and Sanitation, Professor Joseph Talumun Uster, emphasizes the importance of behavioral change and public sector leadership in ending open defecation and promoting proper sanitation habits across ministries, departments, and agencies.
And this is aimed at ending open defecation by the year 2030 and by achieving the Sustainable Development Goal 6.2 on sanitation and hygiene. As of today, we are able to achieve 148 local governments that are open defecation free by integrating the sanitation and hygiene indicators into institutional performance assessment by assessing our performances at the ministry level, departments and agency level.
The head of Civil Service of the Federation, D.D. Esther Wilson Jack, gave assurance of the full support, noting that all public institutions must comply with sanitation standards. She noted that the campaign aligns with the ongoing reform agenda of the civil service and promised that her office will open its doors to continuous collaboration with the ministry.
I want to assure you, Honorable Minister, that not only as a member of the water family, but as someone who is keenly concerned to see that the Clean Nigeria Use the Toilet campaign succeeds, you can be rest assured that myself as an individual and my office will give your ministry all the support that we have. We are in full support of the Clean Nigeria Use the Toilet campaign, and we join your train of advocacy and sensitization and partnership and collaboration. Count on us any day, anytime.
As federal government rallies institutions toward ending open defecation, with the clock ticking toward the 2025 deadline, the civil service has now thrown its weight behind the Clean Nigerian campaign on a bold step that could flush out open defecation once for all as major boost in national sanitation drive. Kabir Hassan reporting for Global TV News.
The Nigerian Center for Disease Control and Prevention says Nigeria recorded 155 deaths from Lassa fever from January 1st to July 2025. The case fatality rate now stands at 18.9%, higher than the 17.1% recorded during the same period in 2024. As of Epidemiological Week 29, Nigeria reported a total of 6,640 suspected cases and 822 confirmed cases across 21 states and 105 local government areas. The National Orientation Agency, NOA, has launched a bold nationwide campaign to tackle insecurity and promote national unity, calling on citizens to become first responders in protecting lives and infrastructure. At the maiden joint security briefing in Abuja, the Director General of the agency, Larry Isa Onilu, says the new unveiled campaign is aimed at strengthening grassroots vigilance and building trust between citizens and security agencies. Anita Patrick brings us details of this report.
Nigeria's security challenges take center stage again, but this time the message is clear. Fighting insecurity starts at home. The Director General of the National Orientation Agency, Larry Issa Onilu, reveals that the recent coordinated operations have led to the dismantling of 12 illegal refineries, 3 mining gangs, and the seizure of 7 oil theft trucks. He says the unveiling of the campaign is to build trust between citizens and security agencies.
The police have carried out 326 operations within the time frame that we are relating with, of which 2,109 arrests were made. 175 kidnapped victims were rescued. 78 terrorists were neutralized. 6 arms trafficking rings dismantled.
The NOA boss also highlighted gains in anti-corruption with over 21 billion naira and $1 million recovered by the ICPC, a step towards removing Nigeria from the FATF grey list.
2.9 million kilograms of narcotics were seized. 720 conflicts resolved by the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps. 2,838 road fatalities were recorded by the Federal Road Safety Corps.
He urged Nigerians to embrace transparency, back whistleblowing platforms, and uphold national values, reminding the public that the fight for security and integrity begins with individual responsibility. Annie T. Patrick, reporting for Global TV.
Let's now head to Kano State, where the Commissioner for Transportation, Ibrahim Namadi, has resigned his position hours after Governor Abba Kabir Yusuf received the report of the investigative committee probing his involvement in the controversial bail of a suspected drug baron, Suleiman Aminu Langwawu. The committee report, which was presented to the governor by the secretary to the state government, Umar Farouk, confirmed the involvement of the commissioner standing in as surety for the suspect, but said it found no evidence of financial inducement of the commissioner's action and no sum of 5 million naira was paid for the bail. In a statement by the governor's spokesperson, Sanusi Bature, the commissioner explained that his decision to resign was made in the overriding public interest and in the light of the sensitive nature of the matter. In Sokoto State, the government has rolled out a mandatory 2-year rural service scheme for all medical professionals trained by the state. The initiative, announced by the Commissioner for Health, Dr. Farouk Abubakar, targets doctors, nurses, pharmacists and allied health workers, mandating them to serve in rural health facilities upon graduation. This move, he said, is a strategic effort to bridge the health worker gap in the underserved communities across the state. The First Lady and the chairperson of the Renewed Hope Initiative, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, has donated 1 billion naira and a large consignment of relief materials to the Niger State government to assist victims of the recent natural and human-induced disasters across the state. The donation, which includes 2,000 bags of 50 kg rice, 16,000 wrappers for women, clothing and over 100 pairs of shoes, is targeted at residents affected by floods, both accidents, banditry and fire outbreak in different parts of the state. Announcing the support during a visit to Niger State Government House in Minna, Remi Tinubu said the initiative aligns with the goal of the Renewed Hope Initiative, which aims to rebuild lives, restore dignity and offer hope to those affected by the crisis. The Nigerian Customs has reiterated its commitment to continuing the training of its officers on the importance of reputation to ensure professionalism in the profession. The training, the Controller General of the Nigerian Customs Services, Bashir Adewale Adeniyi, stated this during the official launch of the Nigerian Customs Service Reputation Management Guide here in Abuja. Our correspondent, Zarahu Nasir, brings us the details.
The Controller General of the Nigerian Customs Service, Bashir Adewale Adeniyi, said the rationale behind the event is to allow their officers to have clear understanding of their roles and responsibilities and also how to behave themselves in the profession track. Bashir Adewale Adeniyi commended the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations for this initiative and also pledged to support the initiative by mobilizing it among other MDAs.
The objective of the handbook that we have today is to allow our officers and men to have a clear understanding of what their roles and their responsibilities are. It provides them a practical guide that will help them to know how they will behave, how they will conduct themselves with professionalism and with a higher level of ethics.
In his remark, the National Publicity Secretary, Abdullahi Mewada, said the program also outlines what is expected by the custom officers on how to speak, interact, and respond to public and partners.
This guidance, we are moving from the active image repair to proactive reputation building. As we begin this new chapter, I encourage officers to see themselves not just as enforcers of law, but as ambassadors of integrity and symbols of national service.
While delivering his speech, the president of Nigeria Institute of Public Relations, who is represented by the Vice President Emmanuel Ndora, said reputation is a necessary aspect that every organization needs to adopt.
To unveil a document that will guide the way in which your name is protected, the way in which your services are delivered, means that you're very much aware of the tripod, and that is the area of trade facilitation. You have improved the situation as it is, but by setting up this day to unveil this document, you are telling us that you really want to triple the gains even in that regard.
At the end of the event, a document on the importance of reputation was shared among customs officers to go through and understand the concept more. Zahra Nasr, reporting for Global TV News.
On a sad note, Nigeria's first female editor of a national newspaper and former managing director and publisher of the National Concord, Dr. Doyin Abiola, has passed away. Family sources confirmed that she died at approximately 9:15 p.m. on Tuesday, August 5. A trailblazer in Nigerian journalism, Dr. Abiola began her career at the Daily Sketch in 1969, where she created the influential column Tio, focusing on public interest and gender issues. You are watching the live broadcast of Midday News. When Midday News returns, agency stakeholders meet to review petroleum industry regulations. Details coming shortly, plus foreign and sports stories on the other side of this break. Stay tuned. You're welcome back from that break, and if you're just tuning in, this is the live broadcast of the Midday News coming to you on Global Television. And now to business news. The Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority has met with industry stakeholders to review the draft 2025 Safety and Environmental Regulations in Abuja. The Chief Executive Officer of the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, Engineer Farouk Ahmed, who was represented by the Executive Director, Distribution System, Storage and Retailing Infrastructure, Oguke Okuha, says the review of the draft is aimed at strengthening compliance and environmental protection. Business correspondent Kikelomo Okere has details.
It is a major step towards reform in the Nigerian petroleum sector, a single streamlined regulations to replace three separate frameworks from 2003. The draft Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Safety and Environmental Regulation 2025 combines existing laws on safety, decommissioning, and environmental standards into one clear document. The Chief Executive Officer, Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, Engineer Farouk Ahmed, who was represented by the Director, Distribution System, Storage and Retailing Infrastructure, Obowo Ukwaha, says it is a push for cleaner and safer operation in the oil and gas sector. He added that the goal is to make Nigerian petroleum industry safer, greener and more business-friendly.
The consolidation process has enabled the authority to A. Reduce the complexities of navigating and implementing the authority's numerous regulations. B. Streamline all activities concerning health, safety, and environmental operations, including decommissioning and abandonment in the midstream and downstream petroleum industry.
Authority Legal Advisor just says the new regulations reflect industry feedback and promote self-regulation. It raised concern over the scope of decommissioning rules for downstream operators like fuel stations, while assuring participants that their concern will be reviewed.
It's mainly because we want to have one single regulation, so that to be easy to adhere to, so that it will also be easy for doing business. It is also an opportunity for us also to amend some parts of those regulations just because of the engagement we've had, because of the expectation and comments we received.
It is a gathering of key players from Nigerian oil and gas industry. It is expected that the meeting will become a game-changing regulations. Kike Lomo Ukeri, Global Television News.
The European Union has officially backed down on its planned retaliatory tariffs on American products, marking a significant breakthrough in trade relations between Brussels and Washington. This follows last month's trade agreement reached under the Trump's administration. Uyi Agmonfoegbe reports. We bring that report to you subsequently. And still talking business, South Africa is strengthening trade ties around the world as it prepares for a sharp 30% tariff from the United States, the highest imposed on any sub-Saharan African country. The tariff, which takes effect this week, threatens key industries and jobs. Over to our foreign desk correspondent for details of this report.
Tensions are rising as South Africa stares down the barrel of crippling tariff from its longtime partner, the United States. From August 7, a 30% duty will be slapped on South African export, including steel, vehicles, and agricultural products. It's part of a sweeping trade policy shift in Washington, but one that hits South Africa harder than any other African country. Pretoria says the move is unjustified. Officials point out that South Africa makes up less than 1% of the total United States import and poses no threat to American industry or national security. In response, the government is now pivoting, launching a multi-pronged strategy to blunt the impact. That includes seeking new partners, offering relief to affected industries, and ramping up diplomacy across Africa, Europe, and Asia. At a press briefing in Johannesburg, South Africa's Foreign Minister Ronald Lamola said efforts are already underway to diversify the country's trade portfolio.
We have been strengthening the trade investment partnerships with various trade partners. These efforts are bearing fruits, targeting markets across Africa, as well as in Asia, Europe, Middle East, and Americas. The new tariff regime implemented by the United States is a significant departure from a low tariff environment. This policy shift, which affects not only South Africa, but the entire world, has already led to higher tariffs than before, changing the landscape of global trade as we know it. South Africa is committed to a principled approach, and we will continue to use all available diplomatic channels to negotiate a mutual beneficial trade deal with the United States, one that respects our national interests while advancing our long-standing partnership.
The tariff could put over 30,000 South African jobs at risk and cost billions in trade revenue. While negotiations with the United States have so far failed, South Africa is making it clear it won't be cornered. With time running out, Pretoria is betting on global partnership to cushion the blow. Mukhtar Kasim, reporting for Global Television News.
And now to news making rounds on the foreign scene. Malawi's general election are just weeks away. The opposition Democratic Progressive Party, DPP, has launched its 2025 manifesto promising economic recovery, anti-corruption reforms, and a break from the status quo. The event drew political figures and supporters. Our correspondent brings us the highlights.
The Democratic Progressive Party, DPP, manifesto launch comes at a critical moment for Malawi, with inflation rising and youth unemployment climbing. Many citizens are demanding a new direction. At the heart of the launch was a message of urgency, a call for bold leadership and a shift away from the policies that critics say have deepened economic hardship. Chairman of the Manifesto Launch Committee, Collins Magalasi, did not hold back in his remarks about the state of the nation.
This manifesto has been produced at a time that the country is in a mess. It's a mess economically. Everything is in reversal. The economy is not growing. Inflation is very high. Interest rates are very high. Debt levels, we are in trillions, 18 trillion plus. We are talking about, there's no money that can be used to develop this country.
Beyond economic pledges, the DPP says its plan includes structural reforms to curb corruption, a sticking point in Malawi's politics. Political analyst Mavuto Bamusi from the Malawi Political Association says the party can stand out if it walks the talk.
Listeners, Malawians and the general practitioners would wish to see how the DPP is going to distinguish themselves from other administrations in as far as strengthening the battle against corruption is concerned. In fact,
now with election set for September 16, the DPP is banking on a message of reform and economic revival. The party's alliance with the Alliance for Democracy also adds weight to its campaign, but convincing voters will depend on whether Malawians believe this new manifesto represents real change or just another set of promises. Mukhtar Kasim, reporting for Global Television News.
Away from Africa to Asia, where Japan has marked 80 years since the atomic bombing of Hiroshima, with survivors expressing frustration over the world's growing nuclear peril and advocating for an end to atomic weapons. Report states that approximately 8:15 p.m. local time, the United States aircraft Enola Gay dropped little bomb on the western Japanese city on August 6, 1945, resulting in the death of at least 140,000 people. On the Remembrance Day of this horrific incident, many Asian survivors have expressed frustrations about support among global leaders for nuclear weapons possession for deterrence. And now talking sport, where defending champions Senegal began their title defense at the CAF African Nations Championship CHAN 2024 with a slender 1-0 victory over Nigeria in a fiercely contested Group D opener at the Amman Stadium. Christian Gomez's second-half strike was enough to separate the West African giants in a match where both sides created chances but struggled with composure in the final third. The tournament, exclusively for players competing in the domestic leagues, opened with all intensity expected from the two of Africa's most storied footballing nations. Meanwhile, Nigeria's quest to secure promotion in the Group 3 of the 2025 Billie Jean King Cup Africa group stage has continued on another positive note with a 3-0 win over Ghana in their second outing at the tournament in Namibia. Nigeria had got their Billie Jean King qualifying campaign off to a flyer, having earned a 3-0 walkover win over Uganda, and came into Tuesday's battle looking to capitalize. In the first singles rubber of the day between both countries, Adesua Osogwen led Nigeria to a resounding straight-set victory against her opponent Sisu Makena Tonga 6-4, 6-2. Next up was the seasoned Oyin Lomo Kodri, who equally dispatched her opposition Precious Oko 6-3, 6-1 to give the country an unassailable lead. Returning to football, where former FC Porto captain Jorge Costa has died aged 53 after a cardiac arrest at the team's training ground. The club in a statement said the legendary FC Porto captain and current director of professional football passed away following a cardiopulmonary arrest. Costa spent most of his playing career with the club, winning 8 league titles and the Champions League in 2004 under Jose Mourinho, who played 50 times for the Portuguese national team. And that's it on Global TV Midday News. A quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365 and Star Times 276. Kindly follow us across all social media platforms now showing on your screen using @Global TV NG. I am Mukhtar Kasim, saying a very big thank you for watching. Good afternoon.